Are you thinking of buying a home in Metro Vancouver, but you don't know where to start? I'm going to break down the buying process for you step by step, including all of the additional costs that you'll have to consider above and beyond your down payment, so that after this video, you'll have a solid roadmap and understanding of how to go from starting your search all the way to getting your keys. By the way, I'm Vann. I'm a local real estate agent here in Greater Vancouver, and I help people just like you buy and sell real estate in the area. So if you're considering making a move and you'd like to chat to see how I can help you through the process, just click on the link below to set up a call with me or reach out to me directly. I will link some contact info in the comments. Step number 1 is determining your budget and figuring out all of the costs ahead of time so that you're not daydreaming, looking at properties that you're not able to afford, and so that you're not surprised at closing when there's all these additional costs that come along with buying a home. So first things first, speak with a mortgage broker. Don't rely on the online mortgage calculators. They can do an okay job at estimating what you might be able to afford given a certain interest rate and with your annual salary. But the problem is when it comes to qualifying you, lenders look at a whole bunch of other things, including debt, employment history. There's all sorts of things that might come into play that could affect that final pre-approval number. And unless you have it in writing from a lender, you really don't know what you can afford. A good mortgage broker will sit down with you and they will give you a clear number of what you can afford based on your income, your debt, your credit history, and all sorts of other things that you might not be able to piece together yourself. If you want to talk to a mortgage broker, just leave me a comment below and I'll connect you with one of my contacts, because it's super important to get that number in writing before you start doing anything. So once you have that number from a mortgage broker and you have a firm pre-approval in writing, then you know exactly what you'll be able to afford at the given interest rates, and you can start the fun part. The second step is determining all of the other costs that are actually involved in a transaction, from things that happen during the process like inspections or appraisals, to costs that come at closing like lawyer fees, property transfer tax, title insurance, and other things. I'm going to overlay it on the screen here so that you can take a look at some of the more common things that you'll pay for. Again, there can be other costs according to your situation, but this is a good rough guideline. And what I would also do is talk to your lender, broker, and real estate agent to determine any other costs that might be involved in a transaction. If you want a more detailed list in an easy to read format, just leave me a comment below and I will send it over to you. But once you have those costs out of the way and you know what your pre-approval number is and what you can afford in terms of other closing costs, the fun part can begin and you can start your search. So this is where you would sit down with your real estate agent and you'd go over everything that you want in a home. Location, so if you want a specific neighborhood, budget that you want to keep it under, bedrooms, bathrooms, size, any particular amenities that you're looking for in the building, size of lot if you're looking at a detached home. And this is also where your agent should start to teach you a little bit about the process, what to look for, what to avoid, any particular buildings that they know for a fact aren't good, or if the strata isn't run properly. And this is an iterative process that kind of changes as time goes on, and as you go out and look at different properties, you might start to tweak that search a little bit as you determine what you like, what you don't like, and where you can see yourself living. So at this stage with clients of mine, I sit down and build out a very granular search on the back end of the MLS to immediately pull properties that fit all of their criteria. And what that does is as listings come online that match certain criteria, it will actually pull them into what's called collaboration center. So I'll overlay an example of it on screen here. This is a collaboration center that I've set up for a client of mine. So you can see here that as listings come on, it will pull them into the site where she's able to log into, look at the listings, favorite, reject them, so that we can go through that together and figure out which properties might make a short list and which ones we might want to go see. This is pulling properties directly from the MLS as soon as they hit the market. So these will also be on other sites like realtor.ca, Zillow, REW. The difference is they come on here right away, and it's a nice consolidated location to be able to track all of the listings that you've rejected, things that you don't like, and to be able to see how things play out. So if a listing sells, you'll be able to see how long it was on market for and what it sold for. The next stage is actually going out and viewing homes. So as listings come in that match your criteria, you can start to make a short list and determine which ones you want to actually go see in person. So at this stage, you would reach out to your agent and say, hey, I want to go see properties A, B, and C. And depending on the way those listings are set up, if they're doing only private showings or if they're showing open houses on the weekend, you and your agent can determine what makes the most sense for both of your schedules and for what the listings allow. And then as you start to go out and view these properties, you'll get a sense really quickly of things that you like, things that you don't like. During this stage, your agent will probably point out things to look out for. If it's in a building that they already know, that can be a really good thing or a really bad thing, because they might know that the stratas run perfectly, or they might steer you away from it and say, you don't want to deal with that one. So working with someone that's been in the area for a while and that has knowledge of certain buildings is a huge benefit to you. Once you do come across a property that you like, the next step is putting in an offer. So this is when your agent would walk you through the contract of purchase and sale, which is the offer document, and they'd walk you through it in detail to make sure that you understand all of the terminology before you sign anything. So at this stage, you determine all of the different parts of the offer. So the price, the dates, if you're including any subjects, those will go in the offer and your agent will draft those up accordingly. Ideally, in order to make this process really smooth when it does come time to write an offer, you would have already gone through the offer and familiarized yourself with it beforehand. Because when you're writing an offer, it can be pretty stressful. So I like to go through it well beforehand, usually during the home search stage. So when it does come time to write that offer, you're basically just choosing your terms, pricing, subjects, and sending it off. The next step is negotiating your offer. So depending on the listing, if there are other people competing for the property or if you're the only one offering, this can vary, but basically it'll happen either within an evening or a 24-hour-ish period where you'll go back and forth with the seller either on price or different terms until everyone's happy, at which point you'd have an accepted offer. If your offer had subjects, let's say for the purpose of this example, you had a subject to financing and a subject to inspection, both a week long, you would basically have 1 week from when that offer was accepted to do your inspection and to get all of your financing solidified by whatever lender you've chosen. So during that week, you would work with your mortgage broker and your agent to fulfill those two subjects. So your agent would probably have a connection with an inspector that they could book, have that professional come through, do an inspection on the property, provide you with a report with enough time left so that you can make a decision whether or not you want to remove that subject. And then same on the financing side, your mortgage broker would start the process with whatever lender you've chosen, and they would give you a firm approval in writing before that 7 days is up so that you could remove your financing subject. Say at the end of that 7-day period, you do remove your subjects, that's when the sale is technically firm. At that point, you would usually provide a deposit, which is roughly 5% of purchase price. And this is usually given in the form of a bank draft, so you have to have those funds liquid and available to be able to pull if you do get an accepted offer. So at this stage, you've removed subjects, it's a firm sale, you pick up your 5% draft, hand it to your agent, they will hold it in trust at their brokerage to be released to the lawyers or notaries on completion. So the next step is getting ready for completion. Timelines vary, it can be anywhere from a few weeks to a couple months down the road between the time that you have a firm deal and when you actually get your keys to that property. So during that time, you'll choose either a lawyer or a notary to complete the closing documents for you. Your agent and your mortgage broker will send all of the documentation to them so that they have everything they need to be able to prepare the closing documents and ensure that the land titles office will transfer title to you on the completion day. Next up is arranging things like home insurance and utilities on the new property that you're moving into. And if you're moving into a condo building, you also have to book the elevator for a move-in and pay a move-in fee. So it's a good idea to do all of this well in advance so that you're not scrambling while you're trying to move right before your possession. Next step is a few days before the completion date, you'll go to either your notary or your lawyer's office and sign all of the documentation. And this is when they'll ask you for the remainder of the down payment funds that are going to go towards your purchase. So the down payment can vary, but generally anywhere between 5 and 20% is what most people put down towards a property. And that initial deposit that you paid, that 5%, will actually go towards whatever down payment you're putting on the property. So once that documentation is all signed, the title of the property legally transfers to you on the completion day. So that's when you become the new homeowner. And then the possession day is usually the day after or a couple days after completion, which is when you would meet with your agent at the property and actually do the key handover. And that's it. I hope that helped you wrap your head around the home buying process. Again, if you're looking to buy and you need help going through this process, it's what I do. I help people just like you in Greater Vancouver. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Fill in the form below. Let me know a little bit about what you're looking for and we can set up a time to chat.